Hello, chemistry class. This isn't quite how I expected to meet you this year, but hopefully this is the safest way for us to meet for our first class and still keep you on schedule. I'm Mrs. Pollock, and I look forward to meeting all of you. Most of you I don't think I've met before, so I look forward to meeting you in person next week. Hopefully you have the correct book. Exploring Creation with Chemistry, and it's the second edition, not the third edition. Every time you come to class, you should have your book. You should have any lab supplies that are mentioned in your syllabus. Hopefully you have a syllabus. We will stick to your syllabus very closely. So, for example, this week it said to bring a tall glass. Hopefully you have a tall glass at home. And then each day it's broken down into what pages of the book you should be accomplishing. This week we're supposed to be doing 2 labs. Anytime we have 2 labs scheduled, you will be able to pick which one you like best and only write 1 lab report. So if we do a lab, you will have a lab report to turn in. If we do 2 labs, you'll still have 1 lab report to turn in. So today's lesson will be broken down into kind of a class overview, and then I'll discuss the lab, what should be included in your lab report, and then I'll actually do the lab, but hopefully you do the lab at home. It's very difficult this week, and hopefully you should be able to do that at home with no problem. And then we'll come back again and work through some of the problems that are in the first chapter. So again, every time you come, you should bring your text, you should bring any lab supplies you need. You should all have a scientific calculator. Don't bring your phone. I know lots of phones have calculators, but this is worth your $10 investment, a scientific calculator. If any of you are going to take placement tests, like an ACT or an SAT, you can't use your phone on there anyways, and it's just a good idea to get used to a calculator that you can use on those tests. Also, you should have some paper to write and take notes. I know how to do all the problems, but watching me do the problems and you actually doing the problems are 2 very different things. So you should be if I'm writing it on the board, you should probably be writing it in your notebook. Also, then you have that to look back at if you have questions later on. So let's talk about your book. So again, second edition. The experiments are all in green. We'll do most of them. At the end of every chapter, there are, I'll be probably working through most of the examples, like this example 1.1 in book, and so I'll work through most of those in the lecture. At the end of a section, there are some on your own problems, if I can find one. So in this one, it's on page 35, the review questions. So at the end of every chapter, it would really benefit you if you would do the review questions for every chapter, and then the practice problems. The practice problems, if you can do both the review questions and the practice problems, not have any real struggle with them, you will ace the tests. If you have the answer key, I would suggest doing the review questions and the practice problems, looking up your answers in there, making sure that you are doing it right. If you have any questions, it walks through each problem step by step. Correct all your errors, make sure you can do them. Put the answer key away so you're not tempted to cheat, or give it to your parents so you're not tempted to cheat, and then take the test. Again, if you can do the review questions and the practice problems, you should do very well on the test. Also, in the back of the book, there is Appendix B, which is called extra practice problems. There's extra practice problems for every chapter of the book. If you do not do well on the test, all of these tests, most of the tests, are build on in the next chapter. So if you don't understand chapter 1, you're not going to do that great. We're going to actually skip chapter 2 for a little bit, but you're not going to do really great in chapter 3. If you don't understand chapter 3, chapter 4 is going to be hard. So it really is to your benefit to make sure you understand the information. Also, once I explain how to do something, like how to do significant digits or something, you'll be expected to know it for the rest of the year. So if you don't understand significant digits, which is at the end of this chapter, you will want to review it so that you know it for the next tests, actually for the rest of the year. So you want to be familiar with the extra practice problems because one, it will help you if you did not do well on the test. It will help you understand the material better. But also, if you turn in the extra practice problems, I will give you back half of the points that you missed on your test. So let's say you bomb the test, you get 50% on the test, but you turn in the extra practice problems from the end of the book, then I would give you back 25 points for doing the extra practice problems because I want you to do them and so that you can understand the errors that you made so you don't make them again. So 1, it helps your grade, your test grade, and 2, more importantly, it helps you understand what you're doing. So you don't have to do the extra practice problems, but it's a good idea. All right, so when you come to class, if you stick to the syllabus, you will have read through the lab before you come to class. That's really helpful because we only have 1 hour. Some people are going to be coming straight from something, so they might be coming late. Some people have to leave from class right afterwards, so we really only have an hour. And I want to cover as much as I can in the lecture time. If you know what you're doing when you do your lab, you are familiar with it, you know kind of how you're going to go about doing it, you'll be able to get it done much quicker. And then when you're done with the lab, I can do more lecture time. I can answer more of your questions. So it really is to your benefit if you read through the lab before class and you know what you're doing coming in. Okay, at the end of your syllabus, there's the purpose of the class, the student's responsibility. Make sure you read that. Parents' responsibility. I hope that they help you if they can. I will be happy to answer any questions outside of class that you need me to answer. Hopefully I've updated my phone number on this one. I didn't. My phone number is 262-237-4055. 237-4055. It thinks I'm in Wisconsin because I used to live in Wisconsin. But this phone number that I have on this one, a 614 number, is a landline that we no longer have. But my email's correct there, and I will be happy to grade all of your tests. I like to see where you're making your mistakes. I want to see your work so that you're not just copying answers from somewhere. I want to see your work. Also, if I see your work and I can see maybe where you made a mistake, I will give you partial credit for that work. And then I can help you so that you don't continue making that mistake. So if you can please write, when you take your tests, you show all your work. If it's 12 pages of writing, I would love it. Kill those trees and use lots of paper and show me all your work. And I am happy to make any corrections on your tests so you don't continue making the same mistakes. My goal is to help you succeed. I want you to do well in this class. If you do take a chemistry class in college, my kids went to OSU, and this chemistry class was exactly what they covered in Chemistry 101 the first semester. So just, you know, this whole year, it'll be what you cover in the first semester of OSU or regular college class. Okay, so lab reports. Every lab report should have a heading, description, results, and the most important part is your conclusion. That's what you learned from things, and notes. So when you are in class, you should be writing down what you're doing. So the heading is the date and your name, hopefully you get that right, and also the name of the lab. So for example, today we're going to do lab, maybe if I can find it, 1.1 and also 1.2. So for the heading, I would write the date, the experiment number 1.1, and the title, which is Air Has Mass. If you know the title, probably that should be part of your conclusion, because that's going to tell you why you're doing your lab. So a description is, please don't copy down exactly what's in the book. I would like it to be brief, step by step, of what you basically did in the lab. We'll talk about this after we do the lab in a minute. The results is usually just a number. Maybe it's a picture if there's no numbers. Today's result is going to be a picture. As you will see, I'm a terrible artist. Yours will probably be great. So drawings are great. And then the main thing that you should be getting out of it is the conclusion. Why are we doing this in the first place? I'm not just doing it to waste your time. The whole reason we do the labs is so that you are understanding the material that we're covering. So you should explain how the lab shows the concept that we want to learn. So that's 4 points. That's where most of your points for your lab is going to be. And then our notes says if something didn't go right in the lab, maybe you tell me why. So we should see today that air has mass. If yours doesn't show you that air has mass, you better be able to tell me why in your notes. Okay, so let's go to the lab.